Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about vicious cycles. First of all, a vicious cycle is a self perpetuating downward spiral whereby you basically make yourself worse, and you becoming worse sort of transpires events that just continually perpetuates it. Um, there are lots of different examples in nature, in life, in society, in history, all about vicious cycles and how one event can happen, which then leads to a downwards progression. And because of that downwards progression, things get worse and things continue to get worse. And it sort of spirals out of control. I've heard people talk about the Great Depression as a vicious cycle where a series of events like the stock market crash, high drought levels in North America, and sort of the hostilities of the 1930s all continually led to this sort of downward spiral of prosperity across the world, really. But you can look up, history's greatest vicious cycles. You can also look at your favorite celebrities who have, really spiraled down, and if they feel as though they are spiraling, then suddenly that makes them spiral even more, and that just makes it even worse. And you might also be personally familiar with vicious cycles. You might have a family member or a friend, or even yourself, you have witnessed or firsthand experienced a vicious cycle whereby certain events X leads to Z, and Z leads to this, and suddenly you are at the bottom of the barrel and it's not fun, or someone you know is not fun. So I think these kinds of cycles are pretty dangerous. Obviously, it's like a little bit of a whirlpool, because as you spiral down, it just gets worse, and it can be really hard to grab a branch or get out of it. And I think many people can kind of understand where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about essentially. I don't personally feel like I'm in a vicious cycle right now, but I just thought the topic needed to be talked about, and that's what I'm here for. There are really, as far as I can see, there are two ways that you can get out of a personal vicious cycle yourself when you are experiencing one. The first method is to really break from the mold. You have to really get out of your comfort zone, do things that are completely different than your normal routine. I often look at depression as a vicious cycle, because when you become depressed and you feel an incredible amount of sadness and pessimism and a lack of self-worth, all of those things kind of conspire to become greater than they actually are. And when you're depressed, you want to isolate yourself and you want to stay away from people, but that also makes it worse, and that makes your depression stronger. You don't really want to get out of bed, you don't want to exercise, you don't want to eat properly. And all of these things contribute to feeling even worse than you did before. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about with a vicious cycle. And so, as I said, one of the ways to break it is to really break the mold and to get out of your comfort zone, to go to gym, to go to the gym. I don't know why all of my words just mashed together there. But get out and going to the gym, or deciding to eat healthy, reaching out to a friend or a family member who can help you sort of break out of it, and even just connect with somebody. Any kind of thing you can do to break out of the mold, go pet a dog, cuddle with a cat, go to a store that you've never gone to before and just look at stuff. There are so many things that you can do that help break a vicious cycle, and depending on the vicious cycle you're going through, there's an infinite number of things that can be done that make you feel good, that get you out of it. Obviously, if there is some kind of serious issue, consult a medical professional, consult a professional in any kind of general thing that is required. Reach out to family and friends. This is kind of going into the second way of breaking a vicious cycle is support. Get support from somebody or something. Seek higher knowledge, seek something bigger than yourself, meditate, seek the external. You know, it's very easy to be internally in turmoil and to feel like everything is imploding. But as soon as you talk to somebody who's out of that situation, or who maybe knows where you're coming from but isn't involved in it directly, suddenly you have an ally, you have support outside of yourself, which can be so important, especially if you're an overthinker or a people pleaser or somebody who just bottles everything up. And take it from somebody who knows. These kinds of vicious cycles can be very dangerous, and they can be very uncomfy and not fun. And so extreme circumstances call for extreme measures is essentially what I'm trying to say. So again, I'm not personally facing a vicious cycle at the moment, but I have been on the receiving end. I have seen close people in my life go through very difficult times, and you know, sometimes you refer to it as spiraling. When someone is spiraling, they are not doing well. They are falling out of the sky, and it requires special attention. If you know somebody, or if you're watching somebody go through a vicious cycle, be very kind, be very careful with how you manage the situation or how you interact with the situation and with the person. Compassion and kindness should always come first, no matter what, no matter who you're dealing with, no matter what kind of situation. Compassion and kindness are so vital. So those are the main points I wanted to get across in this. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the opposite of a vicious cycle, and we'll see how that goes. But please leave me your comments and your questions and your thoughts on vicious cycles and how you've experienced them. I think we often experience them after a loss, whether it's personal or I guess a loss is always personal. So whether a loss is personal, whether it's a situation affecting your work, your family, the global economy, global politics, all of these things have the potential to really affect us and to cause these bad spirals and these cycles of difficulty, because a cycle is perpetuating. It continues. That's the problem. It's a closed loop. And so, like I said before, in order to break it, you have to really break it. You have to really go out of your comfort zone. You have to really reach out to somebody. I think those are valid ideas. So thank you guys for watching. I really hope none of you are facing a vicious cycle at the moment. And if you are, please know you are not alone. We have all been there, and we will all be there again. And to keep your head up, to keep positive, and to really ask yourself, is this thing that I'm experiencing now going to be front and center in my life in 6 months? And if it is, keep fighting it. Still, it's no excuse to stop. But if it isn't, there you go. You know, if it's not going to affect you in 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, breathe. That's all I can tell you. I mean this in no disrespect, no making light of a difficult situation. Like I said, I have been there before, and I really hope that everyone is having a beautiful day, week, month, year, decade, century, millennium, in case there's any of these immortal people I hear about all the time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.